Hey everybody, I hope you're ready to cook with me again because I have another cooking video for you guys. Tonight I'm going to be making a healthier version of the classic meatballs and pasta. Now, I'm not a fan of spaghetti, so that's like eliminated altogether. I'm going to be using instead whole grain rigatoni, and this is Healthy Harvest, and it's all natural, 100% whole wheat, 56 grams of whole wheat per serving, and of course you don't want to go overboard on the pasta because that's a lot of carbs, and you don't need it. And also, a lot of pastas typically don't include vegetables and whatnot, but my pasta sauce is going to include some secret vegetables in it, so if you have a picky eater at home that maybe won't eat broccoli or whatever, you can definitely get them to eat this pasta if they like pasta, and you'll have vegetables inside of it. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making my homemade sauce, and I'm going to be using the Hunt's whole peeled tomatoes, and I crushed them in my hand as I put them in the pot, and I got basil, so it already has a little bit of seasoning to it. I like my sauce very thick. I don't like it to drip off my pasta. So I got 2 cans of the tomato paste, and I'm going to include that in there too. You're going to want to have an onion. I've cut mine in half, and I've already chopped it up. And I have about a cup of chopped onion right here, ready to go. And that's for the sauce. Then you're going to want to have garlic for the sauce too. I have about half of an eighth of a cup, so I can't do math that good. I mean, I'm good at math, but a half of an eighth of a cup I just can't figure out on the top of my head. And I have thin cut garlic. This is about 2 cloves. You're going to want to have it like thin in slices. You don't need it to be minced. That is also for the sauce. Now, I'm going to be making meatballs, like I said. Now, I already had beef yesterday, so I don't want to do beef again. So I got a pound, maybe, yeah, it's like a pound. Actually, no, it's 1.3 pounds of lean ground turkey. This has a little bit of fat in it, 7% fat, 93% lean. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my meatballs with this. Now, with meatballs, I usually include bread to make them a little bit thicker and more substance. The same thing as meatloaf. So this time I'm going to be using whole wheat bread, whole grains. It's got seeds in it. You're not supposed to use the the crust. So I'm going to be cutting that off, but I've soaked these in water so they're slightly damp. It helps them to really break down in the meatballs. I'm also going to be including a little bit of seasoned breadcrumbs from 4C, an egg. Also, I have some lightly chopped parsley for the sauce, which is a little bit different than the hard chopped parsley. I have about half a cup here for the meatball. I like a lot of parsley in my meatballs. And I have some minced garlic here also for the meatballs. Now, meatballs you can add cheese to. I have a little bit of hard cut Parmesan, or you can add Weight Watchers cheese. This one is the Mexican style blend. This is honestly great in everything. I've used this in meatballs before, so you can have a mix. You can use mozzarella. You can use the powdered, the really powdery kind of Parmesan, what have you. Also in my sauce, I like to include crushed red pepper for spice, onion powder, garlic powder, oregano leaves, salt, pepper, all the basic things I include in my sauce. Now, the hidden vegetables that I'm going to be putting in my sauce is I have green peppers and red peppers. I have them frozen, and I'm going to chop them up and I'm going to add them, and I freeze mine only because sometimes I buy them and I don't use them right away because I get wrapped up in cooking other things, and I don't want them to go bad, so I cut them into slices, put them in a freezer bag, put them in the fridge, and they're ready to go whenever I need them. And they're great for sauce because I can just throw them in and they cook within the sauce and they still retain a lot of their flavor. So I'm going to be including the green pepper, the red pepper, and like I said, if you have a picky eater, they might not know that there's red pepper or green pepper because they just make the sauce slightly sweeter. Another tip for the sauce is you want to add a pinch of sugar. I don't recommend usually adding sugar to things because I try to cook really healthy, but a pinch of sugar is not going to kill you, and it helps the sauce not taste too bitter. Another thing is when you're cooking the sauce, you do not want your garlic to burn at all because it will make your sauce permanently bitter. So let's get started with the meatballs. I have my very large cooking my mixing bowl right here, and I'm gonna just open up the meat. By the way, I don't fry my meatballs because there's no need to add extra oil where oil doesn't need to be. So I bake mine. So I have my oven set already to 350 degrees. Plop that right in there. Okay, so got a lot of meat right here, and you're going to want to use your hands. I always say use your hands when you're making meatballs. You want to get hands-on with it. So there you go. You're going to crack 1 egg into it. There we go. Just put that right in there. Same bowl. It's getting fun right now. You're going to take your coarsely chopped parsley. Again, I like a lot in mine. You don't need to do half a cup. You can do like a fourth of a cup and be fine. You're going to use your minced garlic, about 3 cloves, 4 cloves, depending on like how garlicky you want it. I like mine like super garlicky. I'm going to include a little bit of sea salt. Be a little bit generous with my sea salt today. I'm going to include a little bit of the Mexican blend cheese. Just a little bit, not too much, if it decides to come out. Okay. Okay, so I've added a little bit more than a fourth of a cup in there. It looks like more because it's all piled up on everything. I'm going to add my bread now. Oops! I'm going to add my bread, and I'm going to start picking off all of the crust. You don't want that in there. And again, use whole wheat. Don't use white bread because it's so, it's devoid of nutrients, and at least you're adding some like good fiber into your diet right here with these whole grain. It actually has whole grains in it. So, whenever you can, always try to use something that's not bleached, that's not, as little processed as possible. So you break that up. And I'm doing 3 pieces of bread. I feel like that's plenty with the amount of meat that I have. If you have more meat, by all means add more bread. If you have less meat, take away the bread. And you're just kind of like tearing it apart in little pieces. You're going to smush it all together anyway, so really doesn't matter. Now let's add some breadcrumbs. I usually only add a little bit because, I don't want it too bready. So you have a big old bowl of stuff. Now you're just going to have some fun with it. You're going to put your hands in there, get your hands nice and dirty, filled with eggs, meat, and bread, and everything else. You can make a meatloaf from this recipe, honestly. I do that all the time. Like, sometimes I'll just take leftovers, like I'll buy a big thing of meat, and I'll make my meatloaf with this. And meatloaf is great as long as you're serving it with other things. I mean, I don't judge anybody. If you just want to have your meatloaf and your potatoes, go ahead. But for me personally, like, I would have my meatloaf, and then I would have it, like, meatloaf would be the smallest thing on the table. Everything else would be, like, lots and lots of veggie sides and whatnot. You can have comfort food in moderation. So you can have fun with this, yay. Alright, so I think I've had enough fun with this, and I have my Pyrex glass here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to form some balls. Yes, form some balls. This is about a decent size. Like I said, I like mine really, really parsley. And you just kind of line them up in the tray, in the baking tray. I love baked meatballs. They taste so good. I feel like when you fry them up in oil, you lose some of the flavor, some of the moistness. So I'm doing them 3 across. I know you guys can't see. Doing them 3 across. I'm going to fill this up now. Okay, so now that I've done all my meatballs, you're going to want to put these in the oven for about half hour, 40 minutes on 350 degrees. As always, keep an eye on them. So now we're going to start our pasta. You're going to want to have water in your pot, and you're going to want to salt the water slightly. I say put the pasta on around the time that you add your sauce to the pot. And when I say sauce, I mean the actual tomatoes. When you start adding your tomatoes to the other pot, that's when you add your pasta, because you do need some time in the beginning of your sauce making to kind of saute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking the onions and the garlic with a little bit of oil. I kind of just eye measure it. I don't really measure it. I just kind of put a little bit. And you're going to want to put that on a low flame until they're translucent. The second you see it get a little bit further than translucent, you're going to want to have your can ready. You're going to have it open already to pour in. Now, the can contains whole tomatoes. So if you want, crush them ahead of time, or have a little bit, pour it out into a dish, crush it, and then pour it in, because otherwise you might risk burning your garlic, and I don't want you to do it. So let's get started on the sauce first. So I've set the water to boil. Even though I'm going to focus on the actual sauce, it's always good to have started your water boiling. I have my pot up to medium heat, and I'm going to add just a little bit of oil, not too much. That's actually a lot more than I would actually use. That was an accident. Don't use that much. And now I'm going to add my garlic, and I'm going to add my onion. I just dropped it. You're going to hear the sizzling, make sure you keep stirring it. Again, you don't want your garlic to burn, but you do want your onions to become translucent. You really want these two, this garlic and this onion, to really infuse the oil with their flavors. That's pretty much what we're doing right now. So you're going to keep stirring it, let it sit, keep an eye on it until it's translucent. Like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, sometimes a minute, it really all depends. So now that this has been on for a little bit, I'm going to add my pasta sauce right here. Just add a little bit of the sauce, and now I'm going to crush the whole tomatoes. This is another one of those fun hands-on kind of things. It's a little messy, so kind of stick your hand in the pot as you... Yeah, so you're going to do that until all the tomatoes are done. And you're also going to want to put your pasta on. So now that you have a nice mix, you can add your paste in. It's a little thick. I'm going to have to scoop that out. I can't do it while I'm holding this. So, and you're also going to want to add your parsley, your oregano. I kind of just use by sight. You're also going to want to add your salt to this, and you're going to, like I said, you're going to add your pasta to your salted water, and they're probably going to finish about the same time. It's also a good time to check on your meatballs in the oven. Now that it's nice and chunky, you can add in your red peppers, your green peppers. You can even add in squash or zucchini, whichever you feel is great, and don't forget your pinch of sugar. I used about a quarter red pepper, a quarter green pepper, and I'm going to add my red pepper flakes in now as well. You're going to let this simmer, and you're going to stir often. This should be done in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Just keep stirring it. If it gets too thick for you, you can add a little bit of water. The whole wheat pasta is nice and boiling. I always do mine al dente. So what that means is that it's a little bit chewy. So check on it about 5 to 8 minutes in, and then check it again at 10 if it's still too chewy. I just take one out and I try it. So, it's almost done. Now I'm going to check on my meatballs. The meatballs are almost done. You can turn them over now if you want, or you can just leave them like that. If you like them to be a little bit crisp, like if you're used to them being fried, by all means, once you're done with the oven, put them in the broiler. Never cook pasta in a white tank top because mine was a mess, so I changed it. So now everything is done. I have it all on the counter next to me. And if you're unsure if your meatballs are done, you can always just cut one in half. Perfect. All done. Oh my god. It's so good. Oh my god, I'm sorry guys. I'm really not trying to boast. So now I'm going to serve up the pasta. I'm going to put it right here in my little dish. I'm going to do about 2 spoonfuls because you don't want too much. It's a lot of carbs. And then I'm going to take my very thick pasta sauce. Super thick. I love super thick pasta sauce. If you are a fan of thinner, like I said, add a little bit of water. You're good to go, like a size of the tomato paste cans. I use 2, so you can just fill one of those up with water. It'll look like that. This is really going to cling to your pasta. Then I'm going to add a few meatballs. Oof. By the way, just look at these meatballs. Aren't they heaven? So now I'm going to plate some meatballs. I'm actually going to take like 2 because I'm a little bit hungry in addition to the one I just had. So I'm going to put them right there on top. Make them look pretty. I'm going to take a little bit of this hard, shredded Parmesan cheese. Just a little bit, just like a sprinkle. If you really want to make it pretty, you can top it with a little bit of a sprig of parsley. I think mine has enough parsley to last like a week. And there you go. A nice plate of pasta and meatballs using turkey, ground turkey, whole wheat pasta, and green pepper, red pepper, tomato sauce, all made from scratch. I hope you guys enjoyed cooking with me, and if you have any criticism, please keep it nice. I'm still new to videotaping. Wow, videotaping. Oh my goodness. I'm still new to digital recording my cooking, so please be kind, and I know the lighting's not the best, but it's not going to get much better than this. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm Recycled Stardust.